rather be thought wrong than take the trouble to prove himself right. Again and again I've taken a problem to him and received an explanation which has afterwards proved to be the correct one. And yet he was absolutely incapable of working out the practical points which must be gone into before a case could be laid before a judge or a jury. Thank you, cabby. The corner here will do.
So, being professionally involved with crime is certainly not the case with your brother.
It certainly is not. What is to me a means of livelihood is to him the merest hobby of a dilettante. Mycroft lodges here in Pall Mall and walks round the corner into Whitehall every morning where he audits the books in some of the government's departments and then back every evening. From year's end to year's end, he takes no other exercise and is seen nowhere else except only in the Diogenes Club, which is just opposite his rooms.
What sort of place is this Diogenes Club?
Well, there are many men in London, Watson, who, for one reason or another, have no wish for the company of their fellows. Yes, they are certainly not averse to comfortable chairs and the latest periodicals. It's for the convenience of these that the Diogenes Club was started, and it now contains the most unsociable men in town. I have myself found it a very soothing atmosphere. And here we are, club itself. And my brother will be waiting for us in the strangers' room. This way, Watson. Now then, this is the strangers' room. That is, in fact, the only room in the club where one is allowed to speak. And that gentleman sitting in the corner there is Mycroft.
Good Lord.
Yes, as you can see, he's totally different from me in appearance.
Stout, you mean, Holmes?
I think he would prefer the word corpulent. He's seen us.
Sherlock, dear boy, how nice to see you. And this, of course, is...
my constant companion and dear friend, Dr. Watson.
Of course. Delighted to meet you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Now, let us go and sit by the window. The chairs are sheer delight. Of course, I hear of Sherlock everywhere since you became his chronicler, Dr. Watson.
You're very kind. I hope I do him justice.
In fact, Sherlock, my dear, I expected to see you round last week to consult me over that Manor House case.
So why should I do that, Mycroft?
Because I thought you might be a little out of your depth.
On the contrary, I solved it.
It was Adams, of course.
Yes, it was Adams.
I was sure of it from the first. Now then, make yourselves comfortable.
Thank you.
This is my favourite spot. Through this window I see the world go by. I mean, just look at all the magnificent types out there.
Not a very happy lot, though, I have to say.
I, on the other hand, enjoy myself just sitting back and watching them. See that chap out there? What do you make of him?
Nothing at all, I'm afraid. What should I?
You, Sherlock? What do you make of him?
An old soldier, I perceive.
Very recently discharged, I'd say.
Served in India, I see.
As a non-commissioned officer.
Royal Artillery, I fancy.
And a widower.
But with a child.
Children? Children.
Oh, come now. This is a little too much.
Surely it is not too hard to say that a man with that varying expression of authority and sun-baked skin is a soldier and more than a private not long from India.
That he has not long left the service is shown by the boots he is still wearing.
When he moved away to look in that shop window, he had not the cavalry stride, yet he wore his hat on one side, as is shown by the lighter skin on that side of his brow. His weight is against being a sapper. He is in the artillery.
And then, of course, his complete mourning shows that he has lost someone very dear. The fact that he is doing his own shopping looks as though it were his wife. You perceive also that he has been buying things for children. There is a rattle which shows that one of them is very young. The wife probably died in childbirth. That he has a picture book under his arm shows there is another child to be thought of.
You see, Watson, hereditary.
By the way, Sherlock, I have something quite after your own heart. A most singular problem submitted to my judgment. I really hadn't the energy to follow it up, save in a very incomplete fashion. However, it gave me the basis for some pleasing speculation. If you would care to hear the facts.
Mycroft, as well you know, I should be delighted.
I've asked a certain Mr. Melas to join us. He lodges on the floor above me, and I have some slight acquaintance with him which led him to come to me in his perplexity. Mr. Melas is a Greek by extraction and a remarkable linguist. He earns his living partly as interpreter in the law courts and partly by acting as guide to any wealthy Orientals who may visit the Northumberland Avenue hotels. And even as I speak, here he comes. I will leave him to tell you his remarkable story himself. I feel in the need for a certain refreshment. I wish you well with the problem. And it was nice to have met you, Dr. Watson.
And an education meeting you, sir.
Farewell, Mycroft. And perhaps we shall meet again soon.
You always know where I am. Mr. Melas, excuse my leaving, but I have a rather important matter with which I have to deal.
Certainly. I understand.
My brother sitting there is agog to hear your tale.
Mr. Holmes, I am very pleased to meet you. Very pleased. And thank you for giving me of your time.
I'm afraid, Mr. Melas, that my name is Dr. Watson, the man to...
I am the man to whom you wish to speak, Mr. Melas, and Dr. Watson here is my close friend and companion.
I apologize for the mistake.
No apology needed, I assure you.
I can't say I'm happy to be thought I look more like Mycroft's brother than you, Holmes.
I am anxious to hear your story, Mr. Melas.
Of course. I must say that I do not believe that the police credit me on my word.
That, I assure you, is of no matter. I usually find that what the police believe or do not believe is of no consequence. Your story, please. I am all attention.
Well, then, it was Monday, 2 days ago, that it all happened. I'm an interpreter. I interpret all languages, but as I am Greek by birth, it is with that particular tongue that I am most associated. For many years, I have been the chief Greek interpreter in London, and my name is well known in the hotels. It happens not infrequently that I am sent for at strange hours by foreigners who have got into difficulties. It was no surprise, therefore, when on Monday evening there was a knock at my door.
Yes? Who is it?
My name is Latimer. I wonder if I may have a word with you.
Come in, please.
You are Mr. Melas,
That is so.
the Greek interpreter?
Correct. But please, won't you...
Excuse me, Mr. Melas, but I don't have time for social graces.
But, my dear Mr...
I have a carriage waiting for us outside.
A carriage. But where...
Please, Mr. Melas, time is of the essence.
But aren't I at least entitled to some explanation?
Yes, of course, but I'll explain everything to you on the way then.
The way where?
Please, we must go.
Now, a little explanation would not be out of order, I think.
All I can say to you is that a Greek friend has come to see us upon business, and as he can speak nothing but his own tongue, the services of an interpreter are indispensable. Your name was recommended to us.
Thank you. But are my services really needed at such speed?
I'm afraid so.
And where are we going?
The house to which we're going is some little way off, in Kensington.
Kensington? If you'll forgive me saying so, we seem to be taking a rather roundabout way of getting there. It would have been far better had we... What are you doing?
Just pulling the blinds down at the windows.
But why?
So you don't know where you're going.
I don't understand.
And believe me, it's better that you don't. It might possibly be inconvenient if you could find your way back there again.
I don't think I wish to go further with this affair.
You have no choice, I'm afraid.
What?
Try to resist, and I'll use such force on you as you will regret your decision.
My God. You're kidnapping me.
Call it what you will, Mr. Melas. However, on arrival at our destination, your task will be a simple one, and you will then be paid and released. Now, as the journey will take some time, I suggest you simply sit back and relax.
Relax? In a carriage with shuttered windows and a man who threatens violence? Impossible.
Just do your best, Mr. Melas. Otherwise, we'll both find the journey something of a needless strain.
This is really very extraordinary conduct. I presume you know that what you are doing is quite illegal.
Yes. Something of a liberty, no doubt. But as I say, we'll make it up to you. I warn you, however, Mr. Melas, that if at any time tonight you attempt to raise an alarm or do anything which is against my interest, you will find it a very serious thing.
I'm finding it a very serious thing already.
And I beg you to remember that no one knows where you are.
No more do I.
Just remember that while you're in the carriage or in my home, you are equally in my power. Now, as I say, sit back, relax.
And so, Mr. Holmes, we drove for nearly 2 hours without me having the least clue as to where we were going.
Didn't the carriage wheels against the...